That'll always be helpful. And I'll just give it one more minute in case we have any latecomers. And I'll put in a music playlist in the chat in case anyone wants to use it. Feel free to put anything in the chat if you anything that you might want to address, like parts of the body or any type of healing, any healing aspects that might be helpful and useful for you. Feel free to interrupt me as well at any time today. Awesome, guys. We're going to get started. So we'll start with just breathing on our back here, taking some beautiful, deep, and full breaths. Maybe taking the biggest breath for the day today, filling up the body more than we have since we woke up this morning. And noticing an expansion take place in the body, through the belly, the low back, and the chest. And we'll settle into our body here and into our bones, letting the floor support us completely. Maybe we let a nice sigh out the mouth as we part the lips and feel the heat of our breath escape. And for the rest of class today, do your best to keep those lips gently closed, breathing in and out through the nose. Keeping a nice relaxed jaw, the jaw falling back towards the skull a little bit rather than falling away from us and forward, keeping it nice and pulled back without too much effort or trying. So avoiding that under bite, if you will, keeping it nice and relaxed and heavy, especially as we're lying back here, we're really able to tune into that sensation of the jaw grounding back into the head. We'll just take a few more deep breaths as we dive into this meditation at the beginning of class. Letting yourself be completely comfortable, whatever that looks like in your body this evening. Draw your attention to the right side of your low back. Feel that hip pressing down into the floor. That lower back hip area pressing down. Now shift all the way over to the left side of your low back and feel that left low back pressing down into the blankets or the floor. Draw your awareness now to the right shoulder blade, the right side of the upper back, and feel that rooting and pressing down. And now draw your awareness to the left shoulder blade, the left side of the upper back. Feel it sinking heavy and being supported by the firm floor. And notice a little bit of a lift in the middle of your back. Notice that belly kind of lifting upwards. And let's see if we can wiggle or shift our shoulders further away from the hips and the hips further away from the shoulders. And in doing this, we can do our best to press our mid-back down into the floor. Now that we've connected all four corners and really consciously drawn all four corners of the back into a nice rooted state, let's focus on taking our mid-back into the floor as well. See if you can feel the whole surface area of your back pressing down into the floor. And we'll take several more breaths here. Settling in even more deeply, maybe trying to press the back of your throat down into the floor. So feeling that slope and the curve of the back of the neck, lifting up and away from the floor. And see if you can gently pull the back of the neck towards the floor. Big breath in. Big breath out. Big breath in. Big breath out. Using the nose. Big breath in. And a big breath out. Beautiful. Keeping that breath flowing through the entirety of class today. Never letting it stop, keeping it flowing. And we'll wake our body up from this meditation, taking our feet to the floor, knees up. And we can take the arms up overhead if they're not above us yet. Gently bending the elbows and letting the arms kind of hang out on the floor. And we can drop our knees from left to right to windshield wipe those shins. Just rinsing out any tension through the hips. Starting to open up those thighs and the hip creases a little bit. And maybe even massaging the glutes and the low back area, sensing the firm floor, massaging our muscles. Taking it slow or perhaps a little bit more quickly with your movement, depending on what your body is looking for this evening. So just listening to what your body wants. And we'll find stillness, pausing at the center, taking a few breaths with our arms up overhead, enjoying the heart opener. When you're ready, let's hug our right knee into our chest. You can interlace the fingers in front of that shin. And maybe we straighten the left leg or we keep the foot on the floor, whatever feels best to you. And just take a moment to hug our knee in. And we're going to rotate that right ankle around. One way and the other way. Awesome job, you guys. Maybe we feel a little bit of resistance of the belly breath pressing into the thigh and just responding to that, expanding nonetheless. And from here, we're going to roll to the right side of our body, resting our head on our arm like a pillow. You can tuck that left knee up and in, coming to the fetal position, finding comfort, connecting with deeper sense of peace and calmness here. And take your left arm, send it high towards the ceiling. Rotate the left wrist around one way and the other way. Open and close the fingers a few times. And then we'll take our hand and grab our shoulder for a bent elbow. Rotate that elbow in big circles. One way. And then the other way. Reach that left arm back up, straightening the elbow. And then we'll shift that left shoulder blade onto the floor behind us. Gaze over the left shoulder. You can take the right arm and extend it away from you as well. And we shift into reclining spinal twist, getting a beautiful stretch through the left side body. Take a big breath in and really fill up the low back and belly with breath. Use your nose. Supta, Matsyendrasana, reclining spinal twist. Feel the right shoulder blade pressing your heart open. The chest is getting pressed open here as the left shoulder sinks heavy. Breathing into that opening. We'll take 3 more breaths here, your own time, your own pace. And when you've had your 3 breaths, come back to that fetal position on the right side of your body, holding yourself close. And then we're going to come back to our back. So come back down to both feet on the floor, knees up, both shoulders on the floor. Maybe wiggle the shoulders further away from the hips again, maybe doing our best to connect our mid-back to the floor once again. Big breath in and out, recentering, finding that balanced center. When you're ready, interlace the fingers the weird way. Odd thumb and first finger on top. Bring your hands to the left knee, hug it in, and extend the right leg long if you would like, or foot on the floor. Just feel that opening through the right hip flexor as you rotate the left ankle around in circles one way and the other way. Maybe even wiggling the toes. I forgot to say that on the other foot, but we can wiggle the toes. Big breath in and out. And then we'll shift to the left side of our body, resting our head on our arm like a pillow, tucking the right knee in slightly, holding yourself close here. And we'll take the right arm up high towards the ceiling. Rotate the right wrist one way and the other way. Open and close the fingers a few times. Maybe crack your knuckles. And then we'll grab the right shoulder with the right hand, bending the elbow. Draw big circles with your right elbow. One way. And the other way. Send your right elbow straight again, reaching towards the ceiling. And then we'll let the right shoulder blade, right shoulder get heavy behind you, maybe opening and extending both arms, gazing over the right shoulder or up towards the ceiling, and settling into reclining spinal twist the other way, lengthening the right side body, getting a nice pull through the hip, the glute, the thigh a little bit, the belly, a little bit of the mid back. Using your nose to fill the body up with breath. Expanding the whole trunk of the body, the torso, the belly, the low back, the chest, and the upper back. Just letting it all expand and fill up. We'll hold for a few more breaths. Keep it flowing. And we'll take 3 more breaths at your own pace, at your own time. And hugging ourselves back into the fetal position, holding yourself close. Taking a cleansing breath in and out. Holding on to this peace and this quiet. And then we'll come back onto our back. Feet on the floor, knees up. We'll do bridge pose. So setting up with a nice strong foundation through the feet. Feet parallel and hip width apart. And we'll lift those hips up nice and high, or maybe not that high. Maybe we want to keep it nice and low today. If you want, maybe interlacing the fingers behind your back and walking the shoulder blades a little bit closer together. And relaxing the glutes. See if we can use our back muscles and our thigh muscles here and relax the glutes. Gluteus maximus. Okay, release, let go. Hug those knees into your chest. Awesome job. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock from side to side. And then grab onto each knee with each hand. And we're just going to draw big circles with our knees. So drawing really big circles with the knees. They can go the same circle or opposite circles, like making a figure 8, or you could just make a big circle, whatever you want to do. But whatever you're doing, just change directions at some point. So make sure you go the other way, shifting. All right, and then we're going to rock back and forth until we come up to a sit. So you can use this opportunity to kind of massage the muscles in your back, or you can get up however you want to come up. You don't have to rock. And we'll just find a seated position. So find a comfy seated position. Finding a tall spine. If you can sit on a blanket, that would be really helpful if you're feeling a little bit like this. Sitting on a blanket is going to help broaden your heart space. So let's just take a few moments to adjust to being vertical. Take a big breath in and out. And then we're going to do some head and neck rotations. So let the shoulders be heavy. Keep expanding the heart upwards. And just draw big circles with the top of the head. One way. Nice and slow. And change directions when you're ready. Find a neutral neck and head when you're ready. Coming back to neutral center. Big breath in and out. And we'll take our hands to our knees for seated cat-cow. So as you exhale, let the belly fall back, let the chin drop. You can even lift those your knees up a little bit, not your elbows. And then inhale, press the knees down, lift the heart, lift the chin for our cow posture. Exhale, cat, falling back, collapsing a little bit, leaning a little bit. And inhaling, cow pose, because cows have that big old heavy rib cage. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. And I'll just let you go with your own breath for a little bit. Just using those two simple movements to tune into your synchronization of breath and body. Taking any gestures that feel really good to you. Being fluid and flexible to just do what feels right. Finding a little bit of freedom in our practice. Let's do three more good ones. Beautiful job, you guys. Finding a nice neutral seated position when you're done. Noticing how our spine feels after that. Noticing how your breath might feel. Letting it flow. We'll take our left hand alongside the left hip and reach the right arm up and over for a little side tip. If you are feeling extra flexible today, maybe coming to the elbow on the floor. That is not in the cards for me today. I'm on the hand. Maybe lifting the heart upwards and gazing upwards, if that feels useful. And then we'll take the right hand down and reach the left arm over to the right. And once again, playing around with what's available to you today. Maybe we come to the elbow, maybe not. Maybe we look up and lift up the heart space. And inhale to center. Tall spine. We'll take our right hand to the left knee now for a twist, gaze behind you. Keep those shoulders stacked perfectly over the hips, like the lid of a jar, nice and upright. And inhale to center. Let's twist the other way, right arm back, left arm to right knee, twist and gaze. And inhale to center. Let's feel this out for a moment. Root down through the seat bones, lift the crown of the head, and hopefully finding a little bit of freedom and weightlessness through the body. Engage those core muscles. And just take 3 more breaths here in seated meditation. Maybe closing the eyes. Let's take more than 3 breaths actually, in case you want to set an intention. We didn't do it at the beginning of class, so if you want to take your hands to your heart, palms down or palms together, you can set a prayer or a dedication if you'd like, or simply just bowing the head in reverence, in gratitude, connecting with a positive mindset, remembering that piece of that really beautiful, safe posture of the fetal position, and remembering what that feels like, holding it close to you and remembering it once again. All right, friends, let's take child's pose. We'll do down dog after child's pose. So maybe socks off. We're using sticky notes. But we'll take child's pose. We'll rest in child's pose for nice several long breaths. You can start with knees apart or knees together, whatever floats your boat today. And the arms can be forward or towards the feet. Whatever we're doing, we just really want to relax the head and the hips, lengthening through the spine. Maybe focus on lifting the belly button up towards the ceiling. Big breath in and out. Taking a few more breaths here, letting yourself be supported, shifting to be more comfortable if you aren't quite comfortable yet. Three more breaths here. Let it go. Anything you're holding on to, any tension, let it melt. And when you're ready, we'll take downward facing dog. Opening those fingers really wide, lifting the hips nice and high. Taking your time to get there. Lifting the belly button high and maybe pedaling the feet. Bending one knee and then the other knee. Maybe rising up and down on the tippy toes a few times. But enjoying Adho Mukha Svanasana for a few more breaths. Pressing your shoulders towards the feet. And we'll walk our feet up towards the front of our mat, towards our hands. Take your time to get there. Take as many steps as you need. Keep the feet nice and wide, hip width apart or even wider. Make sure the knees are nice and bent. Inhale, halfway lift. Press your thigh bones away from you. You can straighten the knees. Lift the belly button up nice and high. Send the crown of your head to the opposite direction as the tailbone. Exhale, slightly bend those knees, forward fold, let it go. Awesome. Taking Uttanasana. Let the head, arms, and chest be heavy. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows. Feeling it out. Letting the breath flow. Maybe noticing if there's any constriction in the breath as we do this. And breathing a little bit more fully through the nose. Changing the cross of your elbows if you're grabbing elbows to balance ourselves out. And bend the knees, reach the arms up, look up, upward salute. Exhale the hands through to prayer, steady standing. Mountain pose, arms come by you. Drop down towards your sides. And just taking a moment now to be upright. Taking a breath in and out. And let's rock back and forth on the feet like they're rocking chair legs. So lifting the heels, then lifting the toes. Just rocking back and forth. And then we'll rock from side to side. So we're shifting from side to side. So the instep of the foot and the outstep of the foot alternating. Beautiful. Okay, finding a nice neutral position, we'll interlace our fingers and take our hands behind our head. Lean back, look up. Big opening through the heart space. Really use your core muscle here, guys, so we're not hurting our low back. So squeeze that belly nice and strong, pulling it back, and see if you can expand and open up through the chest and bend through the upper back. Big breath in and out. Beautiful. Exhale, release, come back to center. Slowly release the hands and then catch them behind your back, interlacing your hands once again. And then we'll lift our hands up and away, broadening the heart space once again. Maybe gazing upwards. Big breath in and out. Beautiful, gently release. Maybe shake it out a little bit. And then we'll bend the knees. Reach the arms up, look up. Exhale, forward folds. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Take a nice sigh, let it out. Taking one more big breath in and out. Inhale to high plank pose, top of a push-up. Exhale, slowly lower, hit the deck. Inhale, press your heart nice and high, cobra pose. Elbows pull inwards, heart pulls between the shoulders. Lifting up and forward, press the feet down. Exhale, child's pose. Give yourself a break. Awesome job, you guys. Maybe the knees come together this time. Maybe the hands go towards the feet this time. Adjusting and sensing what feels right in your body. Big breath in and out. And let it go. Okay, let's come to tabletop now. So shifting onto the hands and knees, finding a nice and flat back, adjusting so that we're nice and comfortable. And we're going to take the right arm up for thread the needle, lift that right arm high. Exhale, thread the arm underneath your left arm, drop the shoulder and the head. You can use your left hand for support on the floor by coming to the fingertips. And just feel that beautiful stretch through the right shoulder. Okay, big breath in and out. And then stamp the left hand down to reach the right arm up. Big inhale, fill the body up, open the chest. Awesome, back to tabletop. We'll do that on the other side. Inhale, left arm high. Exhale, thread the other way underneath your other arm. Drop the head and shoulder. And take it easy, settle in. I come onto my fingertips of the right hand for support. And you kind of can lift the right shoulder a little higher and deepen the pose a little bit, deepen the stretch. And back to tabletop when you're ready. Inhaling the left arm up nice and high. And back to tabletop. Beautiful. All right, last down dog. Maybe there's a sigh of relief there. But lifting the hips up nice and high to just feel out our last downward facing dog. Pressing those shoulders open, squeezing the belly. And then we're going to walk our feet forward to come and sit down. Walk the feet forward, pass through a little squat, and sit down with our legs in front of us. Awesome job, you guys. I'm on my blanket for support. We'll do some seated poses. So a blanket might be nice for us. Taking a moment to get situated. Awesome. So we'll start by hugging our right knee up and in, taking your foot to the floor. You can interlace your fingers in front of that knee and lift the heart a little bit higher. And just breathing into this. And then we're going to take the right foot to the other side of the body, but see if you can take the sole of the foot upward and drop your right knee on top of your left knee. So we're coming into half shoelace pose or our half cow face pose. So many different names. And if this is really intense, just keep your foot on the floor, knees up, no problem. And we'll just take a big breath here before we take a fold. So finding a tall spine. And if you would like, if this can deepen for you, if this can become a little bit more intense, take a little fold, leaning with the heart. You can take your hands to the floor for support, and it's probably going to be stretching the back of the left leg as well as the right hip, and we may even feel it through the spine. So just depending on how we're coming to practice today, what we come with, what our body is coming with, so many different things. So just bearing with it, feeling it out. Ardha, Gomukhasana, half cow face pose. Big breath in and out. You can rest your hands on that right knee as well. If you want to just rest your arms on the leg, that's a good option. Another option is you can take your elbow to the leg and your head in your hand. And this way we can have a nice supported head. If you like, just an option. We'll stay for a few more breaths. Slowly come to rise, nice and slow. Finding a tall spine. And then we'll pick the right knee up and we're going to swing the right sole of the foot to come inside the left thigh. We'll set up for head to knee pose. So finding both hips rooted into your blankets or the floor, finding a tall spine, aim your belly button over that left leg, and then hinge and fold. Maybe we reach for the foot, but doing our best to keep a long spine and an open heart. So before we collapse the head, making sure we're nice and lengthened through the spine. We'll take a few more breaths here. You guys are doing great. All right, slowly come to rise. Nice and slow. lifting the chin last. And then we'll come back to staff pose. So just extending the right leg long, coming back to a nice balanced center. And let's hold Dandasana for a few breaths. So this can be challenging to just have our core muscles hold us up with a nice and lifted heart and tall spine. It's kind of this subtle strength, tapping into that energy in our core in a sustainable way, feeling like we could rest here for quite some time. We'll take 3 more breaths. And when you're ready, we'll hug our left knee in. If you want to interlace your fingers the weird way in front of the knee, you can pull that knee up, lifting the heart. Taking a few breaths here, noticing how this helps us and supports us to be a little bit taller. And then we can shift our left foot to the outside of the right leg. And maybe the foot stays here. And maybe we turn the sole of the foot upwards and the left knee kind of stacks on top of that right knee. Finding a tall spine before we hinge forward. Taking a few breaths. And then when you're ready, folding forward, maybe the hands come to the floor. And remember, we can take our arms to the leg. Maybe we rest our head in our hand. A lot of different options here for support. Noticing where you're feeling sensation the most. And breathing into that place, that space. Half cow face pose. Let's just take a few more breaths here, 3 more breaths. Slowly rise. Awesome job. Slowly lifting the chin last. Feeling out that tall spine once again. And then we'll shift to head to knee pose. So we can simply shift that left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Wiggle around until you're comfy. Hopefully we can feel both seat bones rooted. And then aim your belly button over the right leg and hinge over the right leg with a long spine, reaching for the ankle or the foot. Wherever your hands land is where they land. And before we drop the head nice and heavy, just making sure we're pulling that chest forward and lengthening the spine as much as we can. Taking a few more breaths here, settling in a little bit longer. Head to knee pose, Janu Shavasana. Big breath in and out. And slowly come to rise. Press the floor away from you. Lift your chin last. And find a nice tall spine. Ooh, feel it out. Awesome. All right, we're going to take easy pose or crisscross applesauce, whichever one you want to do. So easy pose or Sadasana, one ankle is in front of the other. And if this isn't comfortable for you, you can simply just cross the ankles. So one foot in front of the other perhaps, or just cross the ankles, up to you. Find a tall spine. And then we're just going to take a nice big fold forward. So coming on down to the elbows. Maybe you rest your head on your arms or stacked fists, but just dropping the head. So you're probably feeling a nice big stretch through one or both of your hips. And settling in, letting yourself be supported. Letting that breath flow. Getting a little bit heavier. We'll come out in just a moment. All right, press the floor away from you to rise up. Roll on up, really, keeping that head heavy. Nice and slow, awesome. We'll pass through a tall spine. Enjoy the support through the floor, through the leg bones and the hips. And then we're going to come to lie down. So you can come onto the elbows at first to figure out if reclining is an option. And you can stay on the elbows and simply lift the chin. Or if you're up for it, if it feels good today, simply scooch down. I know, easier said than done. But see if we can recline back onto both shoulders, and the hips are going to be pressed open here. We'll get a nice heart opener in. I'm just doing what feels right. Taking nice, long, cleansing breaths. And we get to stay a little bit longer. If you're ever ready to come out, of course, you can just come on out, taking the feet to the floor, knees up. But if this feels good, if this feels useful and helpful, we'll stay for several more breaths. Feel the belly rising and falling. And you'll notice that mid-back area that we've been drawing some attention to today, it's going to be totally lifted. And that's quite all right. A bit of a arch and slope in that area. But it's helping to press our hips open and broaden the heart space. So it's kind of nice. We'll take 3 more breaths. 3 more breaths here. Awesome job. right, feet on the floor, knees up to come out of it. Feet on the floor, knees up. And we'll pick the hips up once and drop them down, scooping that tailbone underneath us. Hug your knees in and come back to a seated posture. Wonderful job. We have to do that on the other leg now. So whichever leg or whichever cross you didn't do before will shift. So placing one foot in front. If you were in easy pose, the other foot. And if you were sitting cross-legged, just changing that cross. Find that nice lifted spine and then take a big, beautiful fold forward, coming to the elbows, maybe resting your head on your hands or stacked fists, whatever feels like your body needs this evening. Really shifting into slow-mo gear. This will be the last two poses before Shavasana, so just enjoying the deep stretch, enjoying maybe what is normally considered an awkward position for our body, and seeing if we can settle into it and find comfort and security in it. And breathing so consciously, breathing with so much awareness, drawing your attention to any areas of the body that are tight or tense, noticing where you're feeling sensation. Three more breaths here, guys. And then slowly press the floor away from you. Come to sit upright. Find a really tall spine, the tallest that we've been all day. Lengthen the crown of the head, root through the seat bones, and then we'll shift onto the elbows behind us. So coming all the way back. And you may need to kind of scooch the hips forward ever so slightly to kind of get there. Maybe we hang out on our elbows for a little bit, dropping the head back. And then maybe when and if you're ready, we come onto the shoulder blades, reclining all the way back. And enjoying a really, in my opinion, deep stretch through the hip flexors and the thighs. Enjoying that really big and beautiful opening. The belly is naturally going to slope up and feel the weight falling back onto the shoulders, onto the head a little bit. Really feeling the belly and low back expand with breath. Big breath in, big breath out. nice time to come out. You can take your feet to the floor, knees up, and then take your time shifting into Shavasana, corpse pose. Make sure, actually, before you do that, lift the hips up once and scoop that tailbone underneath you, hug the knees in. All right. And any last minute poses you want to do, feel free. Anything you want to get out, get it on out. And when you're ready, just finding a comfortable Shavasana. I'll walk us through our last few minutes of meditation. Maybe sweaters, socks, water, so we can really enjoy this Shavasana. And it's 7:58, so we might go a few minutes over 8 o'clock. If you gotta go, you gotta go. As you settle into your corpse pose here, see if you can widen the legs so that the ankles can flop open and away from each other. The toes kind of point away from each other. And the arms flop open. Hopefully we can get our wrists to point upwards. I know that can be challenging, so just doing what feels right if that's not available to you today. And letting go of trying, letting go of effort, and just letting yourself be completely held up and completely supported. Notice the firmness of the floor. Notice where your body is touching the floor as you get denser and heavier in those places. And noticing where your body is touching the air and letting yourself become lighter and softer in those places. Draw your awareness and attention to the center of your body, near the abdomen, in your core, kind of right below the sternum, the rib cage. And sense energy there. And sense it radiating out through the entire body. Feel it going down the arms and legs. Feel it pouring out and pouring in through the fingers, toes, and crown of the head. And just let that life force energy carry breath and blood and all of that healing that takes place through the breath and the blood. And let it be carried through every single nook and cranny and crevice of the body. Letting the joints be open and unobstructed. And if there's any knots or places of tension, see if you can deposit negative energy that's holding you back. See if you could deposit that into the floor and just let it go. And maybe we're feeling so beautifully open and free, in which case, good for you. Hold on to that. Remember what that feels like. And lastly, just let the breath flow. Let it be. Let it be natural and peaceful and graceful. Begin to wake the body up. Take a big breath in and out. Begin to move the fingers and the toes. Drawing the head from side to side. And when you're ready, rolling to the right side of the body, resting the head on the arm like a pillow, coming to the fetal position. Holding yourself close here, feeling the warmth and weight of your body. Holding on to whatever positive, useful, lovely feelings you're having. Holding them close to your heart. And then coming to a seated posture, a seated position. Finding a tall spine once again. And we'll just take another moment of awareness of the body and breath and mind. Noticing how we're feeling. Notice any newly found freedoms, perhaps. And bringing the hands to prayer at heart center, reminding ourselves of any intention, dedication, or prayers that we might have made, if we made any. Bowing our heads in gratitude, namaste.